Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Why is that guy running up on me? But today we're going to be looking at Dying Light, all the settings, but this time we're going to be playing in 4K. So let's go to options here and change it. It is on 1080p right now. So we're just going to change that to 4K, and we are going to start actually on the lowest settings. We are going to, let's just change that to low quality. There we go. Do all that. Not change anything else. We're going to turn DLSS off. And motion blur is... Film grain is always going to be off. And motion blur is going to always be off. Where is motion blur? There it is. We're just going to turn motion blur off too. Alright, so we are going to see how well the RTX 3060 Ti can run Dying Light 2, and this game is very unoptimized, so it probably won't run very well, to be honest, but we're on low settings, and no DLSS, and playing in 4K, and we're getting about 45 to 50 frames up here in the safe house. Let's, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but this, I feel like very close or something. Like, I feel like my field of view isn't as high as it used to be, but the setting says it is. But that's not the point of this video. But I don't think we're going to be getting anywhere in the 50s, and we're probably going to drop into the 20s. So two things we need to test is a bow. We need to test a bow with exploding arrows because these tend to drop the frame rate for some random reason. So we're just going to blow up some zombies here. There we go. And the frame rate isn't dropping really that much, to be honest. But that might be because it's already in the 40s. Another thing that we gotta test is some Molotovs, because fire effects tend to decrease the frame rate by a lot. So exploding arrows, explosions, fire effects, what's going on, all sorts of things. And we're dropping into the 30s, but it seems that 30s, maybe 35 to 40... I would say so far you're probably going to get from 35 to 45 frames on average while playing Dying Light 2 with the RTX 3060 Ti on low settings in 4K. As the 1% lows, they kind of drop into the 30s, but it mostly stays in the 40s, which is not very good, by the way. I mean, I don't know what it is about this game, but it's just very unoptimized. Alright. I'm going to turn on DLSS now on quality, and we're going to aim for the 60 frames per second and see what we have to do to get 60 frames per second in 4K. So let's turn DLSS on. The screen is going to go black for a few seconds. There we go. And it seems that with DLSS quality on low settings 4K, you will be getting 60 frames per second. Let's see if some more explosive arrows drop the frame rate by a little bit. It seems that they might have actually optimized the game a little tiny bit with the bow, because the bow used to make the game stutter a lot. And the explosive arrows used to drop the frame rate. Oh, right there, there's a huge stutter. It went to 22 frames per second. This right here is so cool. Like, the ability to jump, pull out the arrow, and shoot in slow motion. Oh, that's just so cool. But anyways, with DLSS on low settings in 4K, you will be able to get 60 frames. Probably not on average, as it does drop into the 40s and 50s a lot. Alright, now let's change the settings again. 4K, we're going to turn DLSS off, and we're going to go to medium quality again with motion blur off, because I don't like motion blur personally. And film grain is still going to be off, and let's see what we get now. The game, so we're on medium settings 4K. The game doesn't actually look that different from low to medium settings, in my opinion. And I feel like all the settings, the low settings from the high settings, they don't actually, maybe it's because I'm not paying attention to close detail, but they don't actually look that different, to be honest. Maybe the textures are better up close? I don't know, we'll have to see. But we're in the 30s now, so Good luck getting 60 frames at this point, because you're most likely going to be in the 20, 30s, and 40s. You probably won't even see the 50s, but we're going to test it. We're going to shoot these zombies with an explosive arrow. 2 explosive arrows, actually, enough to kill them. Hopefully the game isn't too loud, as I had to turn it down a little bit because the last recording the game was a bit too loud. And we're going to go over here, and we're going to jump and shoot an arrow, because that sometimes can make the game stutter. But it seems to not be dropping from 30 frames. It almost did. Next, we're going to test a Molotov, get some fire effects in here. Definitely. Oh, that Molotov just disappeared. I threw it in the oil, and it just disappeared instead of setting the oil on fire. Boom. It's still not dropping from 30. Let's see if it... Oh, there we go. It dropped from 30. It went to 29. So, definitely the 20s and 30s at medium settings in 4K with the RTX 3060. Alright, so now we're going to turn on DLSS quality, and hopefully we can get 60s, but I doubt it. Let's just wait for the game. There we go. And, oh my goodness, we are actually, I don't know why the grapple hook is going. It is mapped to the button on my mouse, and every time I press Alt, it just grapples. But we are actually seeing into the 60 frames per second with DLSS quality on. That's actually crazy. I didn't expect it. That's actually really crazy, because it's kind of getting similar frame rates to low 4K with DLSS on. Maybe like 10 frames difference, but definitely playable now. Where it was getting almost unplayable in my opinion, the low or the high 20s, mid 30s, I consider that to be not the best experience that you could have. Let's get a bunch of explosions here. There's a ton of zombies. We're dropping into the 20s, but that was because of a stutter, and it's mostly staying in the 40s with DLSS. So DLSS medium settings, the frame rate's going to be about 40s to 50s, and you're probably not going to get a 60 average experience with medium settings 4K. Alright, DLSS, turn that off. Let's get into the high settings with motion blur off, of course, because motion blur is trash. There we go, high settings, everything's pretty much the same, and no DLSS and no film grain. Alright, so this is where the game seems to struggle a lot. I mean, it was already struggling at medium settings with no DLSS, but this is a big struggle. It's average so far, like less than 40 frames, about 35 frames, even less actually. We're dropping into the 20s. Let's see if explosive arrows lower the frames by a lot. We still got a bunch of zombies over here. Boom. Oh, someone just threw a Molotov at me. It almost looked like there's zombies throwing Molotovs at me. But it must be that bandit that's way up there. We're going to shoot him. There we go. We shot him. They're still throwing things at me. This is unplayable in my opinion. I mean, not unplayable. You definitely can play. But, you know, not the best experience that you could get. So that's what I mean by unplayable. If it's not the best experience that you could get using the hardware or whatever you're using to play a game, then, well, it's just kind of that's why I consider unplayable, because there's definitely a better experience to be had with the RTX 3060 Ti rather than playing the game at 4K high settings. Lots and lots, like every second it basically dips into the 20s, like 25 through 29 seems to be where it's going. Let's just drop kick this guy. Boom! Get out of here. In fact, we're going to drop kick you while you're on the floor. How do you feel about that? Oh, you want another drop kick. He dodged my drop kick. Let's get the grapple hook out. And we're going to... Oh, he died. The zombie killed him. So we're just going to yank the zombie instead. I'm not used to playing the game with 20-something frames. So this is actually making my eyes hurt a little bit. That, or I feel like it's giving me motion sickness. I'm not really sure which one it is, but something about it's kind of hurting my eyes. And it's weird because I can play with like 50 to 40 frames, but as soon as it goes into the 30s and the 20s, things start to like feel weird, off, and they just it kind of hurts my eyes a bit. It makes me feel a little bit sick or something. With first-person games, at least, it's definitely a lot less than third-person games. So first-person games, like 20 frames is horrible. 20 frames is not good, period. But 20 frames in first-person games and like low 30s, in my opinion, just isn't. It's not very good. All right, we're gonna turn DLSS on to quality, and I should actually redo that here. We're going to let it come up again. There we go. Turn that back on. Again, I didn't mean to grapple. So I can actually press Alt, apparently, to grapple, which is weird because it doesn't ever tell you that that's the button to grapple. But definitely playable now. So high settings, 4K with DLSS quality, and we're getting like 50 frames, and explosive arrow. Boom. Cool. Let's actually get the fire arrow out. Fire arrows. And let's shoot some zombies here, get some flames, set some zombies on fire, get some flame effects. And it's going down into the 30s and 40s, 1% low in the 30s, and the average frames are somewhere in the 40s. These windows bother me. Like, look how bright they are, and there's like light shining through, but then you go outside and you see the windows are covered. They're not even open windows. How is light getting through the windows? It's not really a big deal, but it kind of looks weird. Alright, so I don't want to stay too long on DLSS because obviously the frame rate will be better, but it's kind of crazy that some things will be kind of unplayable and then you'll turn DLSS on and then the game is just playable and at a decent frame rate. Like, you could actually get like a solid 45 to 55 frames at 4K high settings with RTX 3060 if you turn DLSS on. And the last thing we're gonna do with DLSS on is drop kick these people. Actually, I know the best way to take them out. We just stand over here and then we just grapple hook all of them until they decide to dodge the grapple hook like this guy, but then we just run around and then do a quick turn and drop kick them right off the edge of the building. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is turn DLSS off. This one I think I actually have to restart the game for because we need to turn ray tracing on, and I don't think can do that unless restart the game. So no, wait, we're gonna click no options. This part is so dumb in my opinion. Like, this should change in the game. Why do we have to do this? And why can it like change the settings without me wanting to change the settings? So let's turn ray tracing on here. We're just gonna turn all of it on. Let's keep that on high. There's something I'm missing. There it is. Ray trace, soft shadows, and I think that is all for ray tracing. So we're gonna turn ray tracing on. 4K, no DLSS, ray tracing on, but the game's gonna have to restart. Oh my gosh, as soon as I load it in, I can already tell this is going to be terrible. So if we can open the options here and go to video, this is going to be so unplayable. We're at 4K with ultra settings. Oh, get that out of here. I know, warning, ray tracing is all on. As you can see, we're getting 5 frames. We're getting 5 frames in the menu, but let's just get into the game here. And oh my goodness, this is completely unplayable. There's probably going to be one person that's going to say, well, actually, that's kind of playable. You can move around. No, it's unplayable. Get over it. It's unplayable. So ray tracing, high settings, 4K with RTX 3060 Ti is just not possible unless DLSS can save it, which I think it can, but hopefully we don't have to go into the performance DLSS. But this is like a slideshow right now. It's 5 frames per second. Let's pause it. Let's go to options here and go to video if we can do it, and we're going to turn DLSS on. If I can get through the menu here, we're going to turn DLSS on to quality, and let's just click yes. Save the game, please. Wait a second, I thought it wasn't turned on, but it is. We have DLSS quality on, and it's a bit better, but we're still getting like 9 frames per second. This is actually playable. Not that you would want to play like this, but it is actually somewhat playable. But this is like, you want to talk about a headache. This is giving me a huge headache right now. This is crazy. But it's actually playable. I can move around. It's just not very enjoyable. It's not a fun or enjoyable experience. Max frames that we got is 12. I forgot. I didn't even have that on. But do I really need to have this on to see how low the frame rate is? Not really. But yeah. So the 1% lows, if it even matters, is like 8 frames, 8 to 9 frames, and the FPS is just 10 to 11 frames, and we're randomly grapple hooking. Let's go back into the options menu, go to video right here real quick, and we're gonna go to balanced, DLSS balanced, and we're going to save it, and there we go. For some reason, none of that, oh my gosh, stop doing that. None of that helps, because for some reason turning DLSS on, it hardly improves the frame rate. I thought it would improve the frame rate by a lot, but DLSS for some reason with ray tracing enabled, it just isn't doing anything. Alright, so DLSS quality and balanced with 4K ray trace settings is unplayable. Let's go to performance. Is there ultra performance? There is not. Oh, wait a second. There is FSR in this game. I didn't realize that. We might have to test that out eventually. Maybe that will make it playable. But DLSS performance. DLSS is better in my opinion than FSR for looks. But if you want straight up performance, FSR will give you more frames. And we might have to check out FSR to see if FSR can at least make this game playable. But even with DLSS performance quality, the game is still pretty unplayable at 17 to 13 frames per second. Alright, we're going to go to FSR performance. There we go. And we're going to see if FSR can make the game playable. And it looks like FSR is actually giving us the same amount of frames as performance mode did in DLSS, which is kind of weird because usually FSR gives a bit more frames but looks a bit worse, and it doesn't actually look that different. Not that I can tell right now because the game, it just looks terrible because of the low frame rate, and I'm probably hurting somebody's eyes right now, but definitely not playable. Okay, we're gonna try everything here to make it good. I don't know what linear means, but we're going to go linear performance. I'm actually not sure what linear performance means, but we're going to go linear performance, and we're going to turn on performance, and it's actually worse than DLSS and FSR, so definitely. Oh wait, no, we're getting, I guess it's a different, you know, it's worse than DLSS and FSR. So don't use linear, use FSR or DLSS. I guess it depends. If you have a card that can use DLSS, use DLSS over FSR. But if you don't have a card that can use DLSS, use FSR. But anyways, that is going to be it for this video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment below, tell me what you guys think about this game and these graphical settings, and do you think Dying Light 2's performance is broken? Because I do. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because you want to be subscribed, and I'll see you guys next time.